Hey everyone, hope you all are doing great. Welcome to yet another episode of Copilot Chronicles. I am Partharu, Events and Program Manager at Microsoft Reactor India, and I welcome you all to yet another episode of Copilot Chronicles again. Before we start our today's event, let's go through our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, participate together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding the differences, be kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate. Please drop all your questions in the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. I would now like to bring in Kamal and Dinesh for our today's event. Hi Kamal, hi Dinesh,
Hey,
hi
Parth.
Dinesh, hi
Hey,
Kamal.
Hi.
How are you all
welcome
doing?
again.
Hope all great,
All good, all good.
all well. So yes, Kamal, today's session looks very exciting, like
Indeed, Parth.
transforming words into insights. Yeah.
Indeed. You're very right. I have to say welcome again, Dinesh, because this is going to be like a part two session of what we already covered about the natural language processing. So we did have a lot of views on the show which Dinesh actually covered. And that's when we decided we will have another part two series of the same thing. And kind of we will get more into the intricacies of NLP. How does the exact meaningful insights from the textual data to the query and a little more showcase on the real life or real world examples. So that way we will have a little more detailed focus on it. So, Dinesh, yeah, looking forward to it. And again, I would love to thank the audience for their overwhelming response for the Copilot Chronicles. We do have a lot of new initiatives being arranged, but until Ignite, I'm not supposed to talk about it. But yes, watch out for updates on the Copilot Chronicles, new speakers, new topics, and also new updates coming going forward as well. So yeah, Dinesh, the floor is all yours. Looking forward to your part two of the NLP and the. I would rather say it would be like a tech alchemy of what we are going to see, how the transforming words into insight. So looking forward to it, and yeah, go ahead.
And also, I have pasted the link of the part one if you have missed it.
Oh, that's awesome! Definitely.
Right. Yes, Dinesh, the floor is all yours.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Parth and Kamal, for your kind introduction and also letting people know about the part one. Yes. Yeah. So while we were discussing about this topic, myself and Kamal earlier, Copilot is doing amazing things, and it has been shown like how to create different use cases with Copilot and all those things. Many sessions have been going on, so we thought to cover something that is underneath of Copilot, how it actually works, right? So especially in terms of business intelligence, or we can say in general as data analytics, how this Copilot works with regards to data analytics, what is the underlying code. So that is where we covered in part one. We covered the certain set of challenges. What are all the challenges are there, and also we saw a couple of demo as well. So in this part two, once again, I'm going to cover uh, more in terms of what are all the options available on the high level, and once again we'll dive deep into different set of architecture patterns that are prevalent in the industry right now, right? So and also we'll show a couple of demos with other enterprise tools, right? So this and just a disclaimer is I'm not promoting any third party tool over here. I'm just showing up the tools as examples so that it will be easy for us to understand, everyone to understand. Okay, so with the disclaimer, I'd like to start. And yeah, this is me. I'm having 12 plus years of experience in B2B SaaS. And by profession, I work as product manager in a company called Kissflow, and also a Microsoft MVP for the data platform category. And I am one among 7 data platform MVPs in India. So yeah, with that, let me just give a brief intro of this data journey, how this data journey, big data journey is getting evolved, right? So before 10 to 40, 15 years, the big data hype was there, right? So of course, it was addressed as hype on a later period, but it actually resolved many challenges, which was not possible before 15 years. But not all the challenges. I'll just explain it on the go. So before 15 years or 10 years, even the data storage was, what to say, it was not cheaper. I used to remember during my school days to buy a pen drive in MBs. For buying 144 MB or 256 MB of pen drive, it used to cost so much, right? So the evolution of hardware became like something like the data storage has become cheaper, so that it made a space so that more and more data getting generated are able to be stored with cheaper price, right? That is where the pen drives came into picture, memory cards came into picture, and lot of new business domains, especially if you take CCTV cameras, that has been made prevalent throughout many shops and many environments, as you see now, right? So of course, what I come to say here is the data storage has become cheaper, but what was not solved? Insights, right? So of course, we are able to store more and more data, but getting insights out of those data was not that easy. Either human intervention was needed or a heavy compute machine was needed. Another good thing that happened is the getting doing the analysis over structured data has improved. What I mean by structured data is clear rows and columns. A simple table, imagine that a table that has columns and a set of rows, right? So that's what we call as structured data. A decent level of improvements happened over structured data to get insights, but not over semi-structured or unstructured data. Semi-structured, what I mean is JSON, XML, all these are semi-structured. Unstructured, of course, they are nothing about photos and images. I don't mean here that insights are not possible to get out of those data, but it is not became that much easier or that much mature like structured data. So another interesting thing that happened is a lot of frameworks started to evolve such that the storage layer and compute layer got separated, which even if you could see Microsoft Fabric's core value itself is one lake, right? So you can always have one copy of data, which is nothing but storage, whereas compute is nothing but you can use the same copy of data for Power BI, same copy of data for as a data scientist can use in his notebook that is present within Fabric. So same copy of data can be used by different engines. Those different engines use its own compute layer differently, right? Individually. So that's what I mean. So the storage and compute layer got separated beautifully, and a lot of frameworks got evolved. But what is still now not so much of prevalent is it is actually getting hype, and a lot of enterprises have started to adopt it, but not streamlined throughout all the companies. It is still getting mature, right? So this is a high level picture which you could see in the industry so far, and the reason why I cover this high level picture is it has the connection with respect to the natural language to insights as well. So from natural language, if you want insights, let us say in Power, if you want the total sales that has happened in the last month, then of course you need to open any tool. The person need to use how to use that tool. Let us say Power BI, right? So first he have to connect the data source, and then he has to create a new report, pick up a card widget, and then he have to drag and drop that sales field into the values, and then he have to select either sum or average or whatever it may be. All these things he have to do as step-by-step operations by mouse clicks, right? So whereas this natural language to insights is nothing but you just ask by your natural language. It is all about just asking, hey, what is the total sales happen last month? And the machine will do all the compute and it will be responding back, right? So all this comes under the compute part, right? So the data storage is still the same. Gen AI came into picture and natural language processing became easy, and this will of course use the compute layer, the GPU layer, right? So I'm just giving the picture that this is what the journey is going to be. The Copilot journey is going to be, even though right now you might see that certain mistakes are happening, but this is going to be the future of Copilot. So now let us see to the get into the actual thing. So last in the first part, my title will be something like natural language to SQL query. Okay, so SQL query is all needed to be executed in a database and to get the result, right? Whereas in this part 2, I have changed the topic something like natural language to insights. Okay, so why I changed to insights is it is not just natural language to SQL query is not the only way. There are a couple more options are also there. We are going to see those options as well. So I'm going to show 3 options. The first one is, of course, generating SQL query. So whatever you are asking, then in the natural language question, you will be getting a SQL query as output, right? The Copilot will understand your natural language question, and based on the schema, it will give you the SQL query to get to execute it. So this is what I have covered in part 1. Mostly I covered the challenges part and a couple of examples. Second thing is generating Python code. Okay, from natural language, still you will be able to get insights via Python code as well. Okay, so there's a just imagine the same example. When a user is asking total sales last month, you can still generate a Python code and generate the functions by using pandas library, execute the Python code over the data and get that insights. Okay, so this is the method. This generating Python code is the method which all the tools are using. Which tools I mean, ChatGPT or Cloud AI or Gemini. All these tools are using this method only. Okay, so because just imagine, like you can also spot the difference as well. So once you have did some analysis with ChatGPT by uploading a CSV, the context will not be maintained, because the context will get lost if you come back after a week or so, right? It is not just text, it is also the Python code that computes behind the scene. So that is why you're also able to generate charts and all those things in ChatGPT and Cloud, because behind the screen it is nothing but the chart libraries that are getting created. And the third approach is knowledge graph. So this is slightly different, and I could say that still it is in a kind of R&D mode, where the data will be present in anywhere. It could be in data lake, it could be in a content management system like Fabric One Lake or Amazon S3 or Google Cloud Storage, and even it could be in some other external sources as well. So before bringing up LLM into the architecture, there will be a new layer which is called as semantic layer, which will have a clear understanding of what the data, how each data points are connected, right? So how the data need to be interpreted while a user is asking any questions. Okay, so semantic layer, this particular word is not a new word. It has been there in the industry for a while. For example, in Power BI, after connecting the data, we used to create the relationship between different tables, right? So even that is called as semantic layer in Power BI. Likewise, different tools have different meanings of semantic layer. So I'm not mentioning here that semantic layer is a new thing, but in terms of natural language to insights, this semantic layer comes into picture to better that has better understanding of data. Okay, that is able to connect between different attributes of data so that it can perform extract insights over natural language. Okay, So this is still in the R&D, so we are not going to cover this one. We are going to see certain tools examples, which I'll show. Yeah. Now, once again, natural language to SQL via LLM, we are going to deep dive. Okay, so this particular thing will be a continuation of part 1. Okay, so please check out part 1 if you want to understand about what are all the challenges that are existing in generating SQL query from natural language. Okay, so I'm not going to cover that part again, since the video is already recorded and it is available. Yeah. So what I'm going to show here is, so this particular thing, like this natural language to SQL via LLM is started to be achieved by many BI tools. Okay, so because BI tools already operate on top of by creating SQL query via users interaction. So what they do is, now they have introduced the capability so that the natural language is being able to be converted as SQL query. So some of the prevalent tools are, of course, I have listed here Power BI, where you can find the ability in Copilot, and Tableau has the feature. It has been newly launched. AWS QuickSight, ThoughtSpot is a third-party tool, and Zoho Analytics as well. So these are the tools which have this feature already. Not just those earlier matured BI tools, there are many new BI tools also that is getting launched, which I mentioned earlier, right? So the second method, from natural language to creating insights via Python code. So those tools are nothing but Akio. Akio is a very, very good example. And you can also find that in some other tools like Julius.ai as well. Okay, so these are some new tools that has been launched that creates Python code on top based on the natural language input. You can try check out these tools if you are interested to know more. So there are still other tools and packages. Now let me just show you certain tools. Like there are enterprise tools like B2B tools. If you could say as an example, Amplitude is a product analytics tool which has the natural language to insights capability. Likewise, HubSpot, it is a CRM tool which has the same capability. Even the data tools by its nature itself has started to launch. One good example is Snowflake. Okay, so not just Snowflake, even Azure SQL engine is also doing this feature, such that wherever the data engineers are going to write SQL query, there the Copilot is going to be introduced, so that the work of data engineers or data analysts is going to be getting easier. Okay, now I'm going to show these two tools as examples. So just give me a moment. So the first one is Amplitude. I hope my screen is visible. I will zoom in a little bit. So this is a product analytics tool, which people used to come in and check out how many number of visitors, what is the total page views count, what is the bounce rate, and all those things. If they want to create a new chart, so this is the procedure they would be doing. Like they first need to select which event they want, and then they need to select the measure, which is event totals or frequency or uniques or whatever it may be, and they have to select the chart type and all those things. So this is the regular one which is present already. Whereas Amplitude has also introduced this feature, which is nothing but Ask Amplitude. As you see here, in this Ask Amplitude, there is nothing you could see. It is all about the natural language. I'm giving a plain text to Amplitude, and it is able to give me the result. Right? So total page views, and it is showing me by each date. Right? So I can also simply change it over here itself, like show me as quarterly, not daily, and also not for all the users. I can simply do some filters over here itself, right? So not just this thing, I can also play some complex queries as well. So group by amplitude carrier over the same total page views and all those things. So this is a very simple thing. And you could also see how many weekly active users are there by A/B testing purchase. So it will be able to uh, it is fetching it should be possible to fetch from more than one table, and as you could see, right? So as you could see, I'm not using any SQL query. I'm not using any following any step-by-step approach to create the chart and all those things. Just I'm asking the natural in my natural language. Just imagine I'm a CEO or a product manager who has the business context very well. Just with the natural language, it is able to produce, right? So another example is the SQL query, which I have opened up Snowflake. So I have created a Snowflake instance in Microsoft on top of Microsoft Azure. So as you could see in the East US to Virginia region, and let us see what it can do. So I have a set of tables over here, and these tables are nothing but cricket data. Once again, I'll go to the databases, go to cricket data. Yeah. So this is just plain cricket data. So ODI scores of each player. Same way, T20 scores of each player, the highest score, batting average, and all those things. Likewise, test score of each player. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is let us see, like I have chosen my cricket DB, and what I'm going to do is I'm just simply opening up the Copilot, Snowflake Copilot. So here I'm going to ask something. Virat Kohli total runs in ODI. So I'm just using very simple examples, but just imagine for a data engineer, he would be writing very complex SQL queries, right? So combining different tables by joining or union operations, or he might be even writing certain procedures as well. Those things are also being done by this Snowflake Copilot. So it is able to give me a SQL query, and it is giving me the explanation that this is going to sum up all the runs scored by Virat Kohli in ODI matches, and it is asking me whether I can run or just add to the worksheet. So it has just added to the worksheet. If I need it, I can simply do any other operations. Okay, so this is one thing. Now let me ask a little bit of complex question. Virat Kohli total runs in all formats, right? So if you could see here, I haven't mentioned like you need to combine the total runs from three tables: ODI, T20, and test, right? But here, the natural language, the power of generative AI, the power of LLM comes into picture. So when I say that in all formats, the LLM is able to understand that all formats in cricket is nothing but ODI, T20, and test. Maybe a few other formats as well. But here, it is able to understand that consider all the forms of cricket, which is nothing but test, ODI, and T20, and it has able to find that the relevant tables are these three tables, right? So, and in each of these table, there is a column called as run. So, likewise, it is able to create it has created a SQL query, a little bit of complex SQL query by showing that. So select runs from batting test player like Virat Kohli. Likewise, select runs from batting ODI Virat Kohli. Select runs from batting T20 Virat Kohli. Right. So it has created three different queries for three different tables, and it has unioned all three of the result, and it has created a query on top of this particular overall subquery. let us try to check whether this information produces result or not. I haven't tried this. Let's see. Unfortunately, the result is not produced. Maybe what could be the reason? Let us see. So this is what LLM's nature is all about. We'll see whether it has created. Okay, runs is there. Runs is the column. Runs is the column. So what is the problem? Maybe this particular name, I hope. Okay, the name is V. Kohli. I'll go back to, I'll just let us try just Kohli for this demo purpose. Okay. Change player as Kohli. Okay, it has understood something like I need to change the name from Virat Kohli to Kohli. What we'll do is just change it over here itself. I thought that it will remember the context. We'll change it over here and execute it. Yeah, now it has produced the result, right? So yeah, just one small thing is Copilot is not a silver bullet, right? So it will be made as simple as possible, as accurate as possible based on the tool it is getting deployed, right? So here it is data engineer, and the level of understanding or the level of query, the level of intelligence for Copilot will be here in the sense not just Snowflake, even it could be in Microsoft Fabric, where we used to write queries over the SQL endpoint. The level of intelligence will be provided more for the Copilot in terms of creating optimized query, which is what a data engineer will be needed at most, right? So creating an optimized memory optimized query and all those things, which can run faster and all those things, right? So yeah, I hope these two examples would have given a good idea how this Copilot or this natural language to insights capability is getting injected into different enterprises tools. Now, once again, I'll open up the slideshow, or I can even try to go here. So not just this one, there are also packages, third-party tools are getting emerged to generate the SQL query over the natural language statement. Okay, so third-party tools where the third-party tool will play an important role so that the LLM can produce accurate or better SQL query on top of the data. I'll show you while I explain you uh, uh, the architecture patterns. Okay. So now let us dive deep into Power BI, right? So what it was earlier and now what it is how it is trying to evolve with respect to Copilot. So Power BI by its nature, it is a tool that helps people to visualize data in a better way and generate insights, right? So that's the core vision of Power BI, and that's what it is being there. So earlier, the two major things were there. One is data modeling and visual creation, and with the help of Copilot, same set of operations are there, but the enhancements are getting matured. For example, in terms of data modeling, to write DAX formulas, Copilot helps in a very efficient way. Likewise, there is a widget called as natural language Q&A. Before this LLM era, it used to work in a typical natural language processing machine learning method. Now it has been improvised to work via LLM's way of answering. Okay. So I'll just open up these 3 links just for you to understand. So why these 3 links is, while I was showing you this particular demo itself, you could see the certain problems. Like, so as a user, I'm typing this as Virat Kohli, but within the data, it is present as V Kohli, right? So I don't know that how to what to say. I have to type this as Kohli, or it is present only as V space Kohli. Likewise, there might be some problems in terms of schema as well. Instead of runs, if let me just try this one. So Virat Kohli, let us go with this itself. V Kohli, total score in all formats. Instead of runs, I have asked as score, because that is what we used to communicate, right? While we are talking with friends and all those persons. So yeah, I haven't mentioned anything explicitly, but the column of based on the column of interest, the score is nothing but, in cricket language, it is nothing but as runs. It has understood automatically, right? So what in case if the LM doesn't know certain languages that are being used only in the domain? For example, just take pharma domain, or any aerospace domain or something like that, right? So there will be certain keywords which only those people, that the domain people will understand, but not the general LLM, right? So for in those cases, those domain people need to teach LLM that, hey, if someone is asking you score, you can also consider runs column, something like that, right? So in case, in this example, if I want to mention that, if user is asking score, consider runs column as well. Like this, we have to train, right? So that is what I'm going to open you a certain certain 3 help docs, which is already available in the in Microsoft documentation. I'm just giving you the knowledge how to connect those help docs for your requirements. Okay. So before you start using Copilot, so Microsoft suggests you to update the data model to work well with Copilot. Okay. So why this statement, work well, right? So LLMs are not objective in nature. Objective in the sense, if you open up a calculator, let me just open up a calculator. So if I just plus 1 plus 1, it will be 2. The answer will be 2 always, right? This is an objective question, and this is an objective answer. But whereas if I ask today's climate, right? So this is something like a subjective answer. So today's climate, it is showing me as 28 degrees. Now it might be 27.7 or 28.9, whatever it may be, but it is showing me as 28. If I open up in some other site, it might show different answer as well. So Power BI is a tool where it will be accepting objective questions from the user, and it is always expected to produce objective answers in 100% accuracy, right? It is like a calculator for complex data, simply say a Power BI, right? So in this scenario, if Power BI's Copilot or a general Copilot, if it is producing answer incorrectly, then people might get screwed up, right? So that is why it is always good that your data model should be designed well, should be designed in a better way, so that Copilot of Power BI can work well. So that is why you're able to see this objective statement, something like update your data model to work well, something like that, right? So what Power BI is suggesting, it is all general thing, general database considerations. define clear relationships, standardize the calculation logic. For example, if you are naming your DAX query as total sales, then it should be something like sum of sale amount from sales table, right? If you are, it should not be a varied set of things. If you are having something like just as a total and you are totaling the sum means, then LLM couldn't understand this particular column name at all. What total is this? Is it a sales total, or is it a product availability total? What is this? Like this, LLM might confuse. And few other things like follow the naming conventions properly. So it is asking to use full name properly, like average underscore customer underscore rating instead of AVG rating. Likewise, predefined measures. If you want to have like year to date sales or month over sales, give good predefined measures so that the LLM can understand. Clear delineation, supportive descriptive data. So we need to give more clear data for the tables, the dimension tables. So product details, customer information, customer, instead of customer info, we can give as customer information. So if you want to go ahead with the Copilot, just consider, just think that you have to invest your time in all these data modeling aspects as well, right? So do not use unambiguous label. And there are few other contents as well, which is pretty much every data analyst or everyone in SQL world will be able to understand in Power BI world. Okay, so this is one thing. What else? So Power BI has clearly mentioned what are all the question types it can support and what are all the question types which it cannot support. Okay, so for example, can you show me sales amount by region? This is a very straightforward question, right? So this can be supported. Likewise, what were the top 5 selling products in North America last month? Tell me the average price of gasoline price in the last 30 days. Which customers bought cheese and wine, right? So these are very clear things which Power BI is able to answer. So that's what you are able to see that it is able to produce as reports as well within the Copilot. What it cannot answer and why it cannot answer those questions. So here, if you could see, show me the difference in performance between sales in Europe and in America over time. Okay, so to evaluate this particular answer, Power BI need to create a DAX query in runtime, right? Power BI, in the sense, the Copilot need to create a DAX query in runtime, which it says that isn't a customer, which is not fully supported. Or what it says is this question requires calculating sales for each region and finding the difference, which is in the current measure in the model. So currently, such a kind of measure itself is not available. Maybe it would need a new DAX formula query need to be created, which still Copilot might not be mature. So that is why it has been ranked as unsupported. Okay, so likewise, there are few examples which has been mentioned, and as you could clearly see that this particular documentation clearly haven't mentioned that this domain is supported, this domain is not supported, these are all the questions supported, these are all the questions not supported. You cannot give in total at all always, because this is subjective once again, right? So we just need to be cautious, such that why certain questions are not getting answered, how we can improvise the Copilot, right? So yeah, now I'll also show you what are the other things which Power BI is asking to do, right? So that this Power BI Q&A can improve, but also Copilot can also improve in terms of data model, right? So this Q&A setup is not a new thing. It is there. This Q&A widget was there before LLM itself. Now this Q&A widget is getting improvised after this LLM being introduced. This Q&A widget itself is getting improved. Now let us see this with the Power BI itself. I have a demo for this. I mean, I can show this in the tool itself. So in Power BI, I'm having the same 3 data sets for batting ODI, batting T20, batting test. Now let us open up this Q&A setup, which is present under the modeling tab in Power BI. So while opening this Q&A setup, I could see these different tabs, right? So you have to define synonyms, you have to review the questions, you have to teach Q&A, and you can also suggest questions, right? So before doing this, I'll just quickly go and uh, fetch the okay. I try to pick up where it is. Okay, we'll go to the Q&A. So while we are on the Q&A, we'll just try to go to synonyms, and yeah, by default it will be not it will not be showing this, guys. So you just need to click a refresh button. First time I was asked to do, and you could see that under batting underscore ODI table, these are all the fields, right? And it is asking me this approved whether the synonyms can be approved or not. And first one will be the table name. In what other words this table name might be called? Batting ODI, batting underscore ODI, simply ODI, simply batting, or you can I can add any other synonym as well. Likewise, zero in this batting table is nothing but duck, right? Likewise, user might call as golden duck, or no runs, right? Likewise, people might add something like this. So while I added only no runs, it has also added another synonym, C, no run, right? Likewise, I can also make use of the suggestions as well, right? So if it is relevant, it is just showing based on the English language, but we know that this doesn't apply over here in the cricket's language. So likewise, 100, I have added few other things like hundreds, 100, century. We used to call a century, right? Likewise, 50, 50 or half century, average for AVE, average score, average. Likewise, I have given certain synonyms for this. So like this, you can do it for all the tables, as you could see. So a certain way, you can also establish the relationship statements as well. So as you could see, players play batting T20. So players is the word, the column name, which is present within the T20 table. So we need to set up this graphical relationship in terms of in the English language as well, right? So that is what they call as linguistic relationship. So players play batting in T20 format, players play batting in test format, right? So, and what is this relationship type is all about, whether it is a verb or it is of any other relationship type. So whether it is adjective or noun and all, or preposition, name, attribute, and all those things. Of course, I understand that hey, do we need to learn grammar to do all those things? But yes, as the world is changing, as the new technologies is coming in, this is the new learning which we need to learn, right? So English is becoming the new programming language, which you would have heard it, in many places. So when English is becoming the new programming language, like how we learn the syntax or the statements of programming language like C# or Python. Likewise, in Copilot, if we want to use as English language, we need to learn certain grammar attributes as well, right? And you might think, hey, why do I need to do all these things? Why do I invest my time on all these things? Let user can create a report in a traditional way itself, like drag and drop the report, configure the measure, dimension, let him understand the result. But just imagine this thing. So before 20 years, even though computers, everyone of us are able to use the computers, use our mobile phones. Before 20 years, that generation people, they were thinking this as a very hard step, right? So why a computer is needed for this particular thing? I can do it manually itself, something like that, right? But when the world changes, those people also got changed, right? Whoever has changed first, they have adopted well. Same thing happens now. when AI is coming to picture, it is not just understanding about LLM, understanding ChatGPT, understanding the algorithms, all these things. It is also about the other external attributes that connects with this AI attribute, right? So that is where these things are happening. But imagine one thing: if you have set up this Q&A once in a time, right? It is going to be a permanent configuration setup done for all, right? And everybody will be able to converse with the data and get the insights in the natural language, right? So let's come back. So the next thing we have to do is teach Q&A, right? What are all the type of questions people might ask? Player score in ODI and test. So I'm just entering sample questions, right? So in the meantime, it is previewing the result, right? And it will be asking us the uh, do we need to change anything as well, right? So here it is asking me that score can't be defined yet. Try defining some other terms first. So it is mentioning that uh, score is not understandable here in this case. So let me just change it to runs. Let us see what happens here. Oh, I need to type in submit. Okay, still test and ODI is not understandable. Why it is not understandable? I have defined the synonym as ODI here.
Dinesh, I'm not sure if I'm the only one able to see. I'm not able to see the screen that you're typing.
Nope, nope.
It's
It's
frozen.
a second screen that is come up, Dinesh. You need to change the screen.
Oh my god. Are you able to see my Power BI?
Yeah, now we
Yes,
can see.
now we're able to see.
Oh, I don't know for okay. I have been opening this for some period of time. Okay, so this was not covered, Kamal. Like you are not able to see this
No, no,
synonyms.
we were seeing the other screen.
Okay, okay.
I have your website there, but then I think it was just like 1 or 2 minutes. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
If you
I'll just quickly.
refresh, you want to do or something.
Yeah, yeah. So it is nothing, guys. Like I just opened this Q&A setup, and it will give you a pop-up. Sorry. Yeah, it will give you a pop-up like this, and you need to define synonyms, relationships, teach Q&A, review questions, and suggestion questions. So you have to set configure this one after other. Okay. So synonyms, as you could know, what other word the same word can be mentioned. So batting underscore ODI is the table. This need not be mentioned in the same way. So people might call simply as ODI as well. That is what I have mentioned. Likewise, relationships, how this what kind of relation that exists between each of the column and the table, each of the table with other tables as well. Okay, let's say if it is a library data set, author writes book, uh, book is published by the publisher, author pays money to publisher, something like this, right? So we have to define all the relationships. And teach Q&A is nothing but um, you can teach how what are all the questions user might ask. Likewise, how I asked here is score total score in ODI. Okay, so while I was typing itself, it is showing me the suggestions. Let us see what happens over here, and it is showing me some kind of error. Total does it refer to what it is asking me, right? So I need to tell as runs. If I mean as runs, okay. If I mean as total means you have to do the sum operation. Likewise, if I mention as score, what it refers to, I need to mention that score is nothing but run. Okay. So, and also ODI, it is not able to understand, but I am not sure why it is not able to understand. Total score in batting ODI. Still, it is not able to understand. Let us see this one. Okay, I don't know why batting ODI is not uh, recognized, but let us see. Just give us total score. Yeah. So based on the available data, it is showing me some result, right? So this is just an example, and I assume that this particular widget will be getting mature day by day, right? So showing up the errors, understanding what the column means based on the synonyms and all those things, right? So this will still get mature, and likewise, once you have teach the Q&A, all the questions will be shown up here, and you can simply review what questions can be approved and what questions can be not. So not just this thing, um, other people also can suggest the questions. Okay, so what this means is nothing but by default Q&A will be giving certain set of suggestions. Okay, so you can change those suggestions. Now with instead of default Q&A questions, you can configure that it need to show your questions, right? So that's what this suggest questions is all about. But the main thing which you need to do is this part, the synonyms and the relationship part. So yeah, I'll go back to this screen where I'm having my presentation. Parth, I hope the presentation slide is visible, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we just saw like how to configure it, how it works, how can we make it better, all those things with few examples. Now I'll show what are all the limitations that exist in Copilot. Okay, so just for the understanding, I have opened not just Power BI Copilot's natural language limitations, but also Snowflake Copilot, right? So what Power BI has mentioned as limitations, likewise what Snowflake has mentioned as limitations. Let us see both of them. Oh my god, just opening up some other link. Just see here. Yeah, there are certain limitations which you could see, right? So Q&A is having limitations. That is why, likewise, Copilot also has certain limitations. Yeah, here it is. Sorry. So this is available only in Power BI service, Power BI desktop. It has not been available soon, and right now only English is supported. And there are few other limitations as well, right? And it has also mentioned this limitations of Power BI Q&A as well. So there are certain limitations available, right? So and there are certain statements also will not be supported, like multiple conditions will not be supported and all those things. Now let me just show you what are the limitations in Snowflake Copilot. What I mean by Snowflake Copilot is this one, which we saw as a couple of examples, right? So what are the limitations they have said? So of course they also told that only English language is supported, only SQL is supported. It will not give Python code or any other thing. Only SQL it will be supported. So cross database or schema queries are not supported. It can work between the tables in one single database or one schema, right? Uh, and also sometimes it is saying that delayed response is possible, and yeah, limited number of tables will be considered. The top 10 tables or top 10 columns alone will be considered. For example, some major queries might be possible that it need to be computed from 10 or 15 or 20 tables. It will not work. It will just work on top of 10 tables. Okay, so that is why once again I'm saying the second time, Snowflake might not be a silver bullet for most of the cases. So let us also see how this natural language to SQL works in technical angle, right? So under the hood, it is all about prompting. Okay, when an LLM is there in an architecture, of course prompting is there. I'll be able to show this particular image in this particular thing, right? So this is a prompt that has been used in AWS Bedrock for querying the structured data. I just found it in online so that I can show it here, for example. So if you could see, you need to mention all the table details. What this means. Customers means customers purchase products from employees. Employees means employees sell product to customers, right? So like this different thing. This is what we were doing in the relationship Q&A setup in Power BI, right? So in different tool, it is being present like this. So in SQL template, you could see that. So given an input question, first create a syntactically correct query to run, and then look at the results of the query and then return the answer. You can order the results by a relevant column to return the most interesting examples. Never query for all the columns. Pay attention to use only the column names. So it is all about prompting, how we are asking the LLM to think, right? So basically, so as you could see all these things, and it is also we also need to give the response template as well, how we need to, so that the application can handle it better. So yeah, so just mentioning that it is all about prompting when we talk to LLM. And let us see 3 architectures. I picked up this architecture diagram from this particular channel, Dinesh on Data. If you are interested, you can check out this YouTube link, or just search for Dinesh on Data. It is just a 5 minutes video where he has explained these 3 architectures in a brief way. So most of the basic work which we do, how this natural language to SQL started is, everything will be connected to the prompt. Okay, so user's input, something like total sales. Prompt template, which I showed you the example right now is, right? So we have to instruct the prompt such that, hey, you are a SQL agent, you need to understand the schema, and you need to understand the user input. Based on that, you need to produce the SQL query in SQLite, or Azure SQL syntax, or PostgreSQL syntax. Like this, all this thing will be present in the prompt template. And likewise, there will be certain examples as well for the prompt. Something like, if user is inputting with this particular statement, this is the expected query. If this particular statement, this is the expected query. So this also being included into prompt, but yes, I'm just mentioning here for better understanding. So prompt will include user input, sample questions with expected query, table and schema definition as well. So all these will be combined as final prompt, and it will be provided to foundation model. And then the SQL, this foundation model is nothing but, you can imagine of any LLM, like OpenAI or Claude or Llama, whatever it may be. So all these will produce the SQL statement, and that SQL statement, if it is executed in a database, it might produce result. Once again, this result might be correct result or incorrect result. Okay, so let us assume that it is correct result, or the other way is, it might not produce any result, right? The query might run error. So in this case, validate the error, regenerate the final prompt, regenerate the prompt, and give it back to foundation model, ask it to give the correct SQL statement, execute in database. Okay, so once this is done, it can also be given back to to the user, such that, or the prompt that this particular user query has produced this example. So this is pretty base architecture which we all do. Even in ChatGPT we are doing this, except the SQL statement in ChatGPT, it is going to be Python code, right? So but if you ask ChatGPT to produce SQL query after giving all this input, still it will produce, right? So let us go to the next architecture. So the base model along with the RAG. Okay, so what is the difference here? Still user input is there, prompt template is there, and a set of sample questions with the expected query, sample SQL query is there. The final prompt will be injected. What is the only difference is, the database's schema will be converted as a data catalog, right? So data catalog is nothing but data about data. That's what they call as metadata, right? So if within database, if there is a table that has a column called yes number, in data catalog, it will be in an explained manner. Yes number means serial number, where it will be unique for every row of this particular table or something like that, right? So there will be clear explanation of each and every schema element of that data model. That is what data catalog. So from the data catalog, uh, everything will be stored into vector store as schema definition, right? So from this vector store, the portion of vector will be passed on to the final prompt based on the user input, and that will be passed to foundation model. Once again, it will be created as SQL query and converted as run in database. It can produce result, or if not, catch the exception, regenerate final prompt, and once again the foundation model or LLM will generate the SQL statement. Okay. And the third one is make use of the base architecture, make use of RAG, and also a fine-tuning model as well, right? So as you could see, not only the sample questions will be passed on to the final prompt, but also the sample questions and the expected query will be used to fine-tune the foundation model itself. For example, take the open source Llama model, train that Llama model with all the user inputs and the respective correct SQL queries which is expected. Okay, let us say the team is using Power BI or any analytics tools for 10 years of time, and the data analytics team is pretty well know that these are the repeated 10,000 kind of reports, 10,000 kind of queries that will be executed over the database. Okay, so in that case, those 10,000 kind of queries can be reverse engineered to create input language, and those can be used to fine tune the generic Llama model, and that over that Llama model, the same process can be repeated so that the accuracy of SQL query will be way better. Okay, so as you could see, the level of implementation, the energy that is needed, the resources that needed increases by these three architecture. But in most of the cases, this will be the base, like in all the tools, how the natural language is converted into SQL. This will be the ideology, right? So or improvised version of architecture. Now let me just show you with the help of a third-party tool which I showed here, right? So I'll open up Vana, how it works, and you'll get an understanding. So, oh my god, I'll reconnect it quickly. Okay, I have used this Vana package. I have zoomed it better, I hope. Yeah, and now it is connected. So what I did is I have imported Vana package, and this is a very sample database. Like Chinook is a sample database, and this is a very simple question, like what are the top 10 sales by state. So as you could see in the log, you could see that the SQL prompt, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy from here to here and open a Sublime and paste it over here. Kamal, I have opened up a Sublime, so I hope it is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. So as you could see, what is present in the prompt? In the role, in the system role, the content is, you are a SQL expert. Please help to generate a SQL query to answer this question. Your response should only be based on the given context and follow the response guidelines and format instructions, right? So it has injected the tables, what are all the each and every table of this particular data set as an injection into the prompt itself. So what is the table name, like create table name, column name, what is the data type of the column, and how far it goes. Like, let us see. Yeah, so until here, the schema is being provided. What else is there? Additional context. This is a SQLite database because it should not give a query that can be executed in Snowflake. It should give the query that should be executed in SQLite database if it is SQLite, right? So we have to mention that this is a SQLite database. For dates, remember to use SQL syntax, and this is the response guideline. If the provided context is sufficient, please generate a valid SQL query without any explanations. If the provided context is almost sufficient but requires knowledge of the specific string, please generate an incremental SQL query. Okay, so this is where Vana packages like Vana or Y comes into picture. While mentioning this particular step, it is asking to generate an intermittent SQL query, right? So, and what Vana will do is it will uh, uh, it will regenerate the SQL query. It will ideate that how better this prompt can be given, right? And once again, the query will get generated. So likewise, if you could see the prepend query with the command saying the intermittent SQL and all those things, right? So likewise, all these are prompt inputs which we could see, and somewhere we should be able to get the result. Yeah, here you could see that extracted SQL is this one. So this is the final output. Now let us go back to this one. So as you could see, it has also not just this particular package, this particular sample, not just extracted SQL, it has also executed the output as well, right? And it has produced it has a chart as well. So these are all the works done by Vana, right? Not just a SQL query, it has also produced as output and also produced it as a beautiful chart to consume better, right? So yeah, and once again, the actual reality is new tools might come in, but training or the acceptance is the most important thing, right? So acceptance is here for the people who are modeling the data. Earlier, it is all about enabling the relationship between tables, creating DAX queries, and all those things. Now, the additional step is you need to configure the Q&A setup as well, the synonyms and all those things. Likewise, the training for the users is they have to understand that Copilot is not a Swiss Army knife, such that whatever you ask, it will give correct answer. You also need to make sure that you can use it as Copilot, not the actual pilot to drive an aeroplane, right? To understand as simple as possible. So once again, I mentioned about this third thing, right? This knowledge graph, right? So this is which is still under kind of R&D, which certain people are doing. Certain people have crossed some level. It has been expected like joins need to be happen in data level, not just table level, right? For example, if user is asking sales in southern Tamil Nadu, LLM with the help of LLM, it should be able to understand that it should pick the cities like Tirunelveli and Thoothukudi, not Chennai and Coimbatore. Okay, so likewise, if user's question is having something like Hammam and Synthol, it should understand that user is asking about soaps, and it should understand that soap comes under category column, which is present in products table. Okay, so likewise, the level of intelligence drastically changes when it is knowledge graph. That is what the expectation in terms of future handling. So yeah, I think with that I end my session. I think I took 10 more minutes, but yeah.
No worries, Dinesh. Actually, time flies when you kind of get deep into those kind of tools and you kind of address the real life problem. So yeah, we do have a couple of questions. So Pat, you want to take the first question or something?
Oh, it's like in the very starting, like have they used LLM or RAG here for Copilot?
Okay, it is. I'm not from the Copilot team, so it is all about my assumption. It is a combination of RAG and LLM, as you could see the architecture here, right? So that is where you will be able to give such a kind of powerful output. Yeah.
All right, and I have a question, Dinesh, because you've been talking about I mean, I know this text to SQL is kind of a hot topic with a lot of ongoing research. That is what I would have to highlight. And it is kind of performing well with translating the natural languages like to SQL queries and the best methods available and all that. But however, based on real life experience, I think the problem often lies not with the language model. That is what I feel with my experience. It's basically it actually falls in the category of how the nature of the task or how is it framed. Now, say for example, if the issue is that the if the user prompt is not kind of well defined, then the information you're asking will not be displayed, or it might give you an is information that does not exist in the data itself. So, how does those kind of scenarios are being handled here? How do you kind of handle it, or you have any tips that we'll have to go through or know about it well before doing something?
Yeah. So that's a brief question. There are 2-3 parts. So first one, um, how it is all about accuracy, right? So what
Okay.
user and what the system is giving, right? Power
Mhm.
BI Copilot is giving. It should give accurate answer. That's what the exact expectation. For this accurate answer, both the parties cooperation is needed. One
Mhm.
side, on the data modeling person, he need to do all these works like whatever I showed you. He need to give the synonyms and all those kind of work with the help of domain expertise people. That is on one side. On the other side, user also need to be patient and ask right set of questions. And sometimes even if user is asking right question, LLM need to understand that, hey, your question is right, but I don't have answer. Can you rephrase your question? Something like that, right? So but it is not happening. It is not being given in 100% accuracy. None of the tool is giving 100% accuracy, right? So because that is very trivial. You can inject or you can confuse LLM in a very easily, right? So that is where the picture is lying upon, and this is the path which the technical people are doing the R&D. How better we can use the knowledge of data, not just the schema. Okay,
Yeah.
if you could see that we all spoke about only on the schema level, not on the data level. I just
Mhm.
mentioned about the table name, column name, that's all, not on the data level. But if the LLM is able to understand from the data level, then and the accuracy might be good. But the challenge here is whether the customer can view the data to LLM is not or not, right?
Okay.
Data access, whether it can be given to LLM or not. Data privacy is there, all those things, right? And also configuring LLM in a private cluster, in a dedicated cluster is not that simple as of now. So that's where the challenges and the technical challenges are also there. One is technical challenges. Another one is the person who is configuring this entire setup need to be patient, need to do as best as he can. And the third one is, so how better he can answer, and he should also be informed that not all the answers might be correct.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that was my way of understanding, because most of the time people think, okay, it's the model that has to take care of it. You have to train the model. Which model do you use? It has to give an accurate answer. But
Yeah,
it's a part of it. But there is something called user prompt also. There is
exactly.
a lot of underlying factors that needs to be considered while kind of doing these kind of queries. So yeah,
Exactly.
just emphasize on those points. But yeah, thank you so much, Dinesh. Definitely looking forward for the part three now, actually, because this is kind of getting deep into deep, and a lot of research is actually going behind the screen on these. So thank you so much again. And I think he has displayed the QR code. So if you like to follow Dinesh, you have a question that you could not get it answered here, and you want to get more deep dive into it, definitely you can scan this LinkedIn code. He'll be glad to connect with you and discuss on this more. So thank you, Dinesh. Again, looking forward for more series with you. And thank you, Parth, for being a great host. And thank you everyone for joining the Copilot Chronicles again, and see you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks.
Good
Bye.
evening to you all.